Hey everyone, it's David Breeze Flippers. Today, I'm going to take a step back and get real about my reselling journey. What I thought I'd talk about today is maybe what I've done in the very beginning, how I got started, things I did wrong, maybe the things I did right. Probably did more things wrong, to be honest with you, but and how I learned reselling. Because honestly, reselling, this is a great business, but you don't have a boss. And well, you count your wife or your spouse, I guess. Maybe that's your boss, but we don't really have a boss. So we have to learn kind of from doing. We have to learn from our mistakes, actually. That's the best way to learn sometimes the worst way to learn. But I thought I'd just talk a little bit about the realities of, what it's like picking and flipping. And, we watch a lot of YouTubers. I do. I devour YouTube information from other resellers and stuff like that. So I thought I'd talk about a couple of them and what I've learned and what I've learned not to learn from them. And we can kind of see where that goes. And if it's the first time you've been here, this is maybe it'd be great if you're a new reseller, if you've been in the reselling for a little while, or if you've been there for a long time, you probably have your own experiences. I'd love to hear those. So hopefully you'll have a chance to maybe learn something from me, or maybe, I don't know, have a comment to say or say something for other new people, because anybody loves advice. And that's the one thing I love about YouTube is the ability to get advice, even though you don't even have to really talk to the person, but you can learn a lot. So let's dive in and look at this.
Find it, flip it, ship it, wear Breeze Flippers, keep it moving. Find it, flip it, ship it, repeat.
So we will talk about what's sold today too. I do have a few sales going out today and had a few going out earlier. So we'll talk about that in a few at the end, towards the end. And we did have, like I said, a couple little things, nothing big. It's starting out a little slow this week, but I think it'll pick up. We'll see what happens. So how did I get my start in reselling? Well, to be honest with you, my start in reselling came back in 1995. I had this inclination to sell these little diskettes that had what at that time the internet was in its infancy, guys. I mean, it was like a newborn, right? And so internet was like kicking up, and the what was happening was the blogs were starting to get very popular. Websites were starting to kind of come online. I actually started building websites for people while I was in school, finishing out college. And I was trying to be like a pioneer on the internet. I actually had my own web hosting service. So I put up websites, I did all that stuff. And I thought, wow, I found out these information diskettes, right? That 3.5-inch floppies. Anybody remember those? So I actually found those, and I loaded them up with all these blog materials. So I had bought this little deal where I could take all this information, and I got tons and tons of blog stuff. It was on everything from growing flowers to shelling peanuts to, I mean, it was an amazing amount of information. Back then, it was just written stories. It was paper that you could, you would read paper, but now it's on blog, right? So I took these stories and these little blog stories, and I put them all on diskettes. I had 10 diskettes, labeled them, did all that stuff. So I needed a place to sell them. So I tried selling them through ads on newspapers and different things, and it didn't do very well. And of course, right about that time, of course, the internet's getting big. So Yahoo Auctions came out, and a little thing called Auction Web. So Auction Web was really the better one. Yahoo Auctions was okay, but Auction Web was the predecessor of eBay. So I signed up, and I sold a bunch of those diskette sets, right? So I think at one point I was making, I don't know, upwards to $500 in a month for selling these things, because everybody else was wanting to jump on the internet train too. So that went on for, it did okay for about 6 months, and it just like fell off. Like that was the way it was. Now, putting auctions back then was a little bit tougher, right? It was, you had to put something up, you had to host pictures, you had all kinds of things you had to do. It was not easy. You had to actually write the descriptions in HTML. So it was really hard. So I kind of stepped away from that and just kind of went back to building websites and doing all this stuff. Well, 1997, I think it was 97. Yeah, 97, eBay became eBay from Auction Web. And my account carried over, and it converted over in October of that year. So my account shows October 1997 as when I started my eBay journey. Now, that doesn't mean I've been selling on eBay, seriously for that long. If I'd been selling for that long, I would be retired now and doing eBay full time. So, that's so maybe it's my first mistake. If I talk about the mistakes that I made, that would probably be my first mistake. I should have stayed on it and really did more. But at that time, with just graduating from school, from college, starting a new job, moving to Florida, it was all that stuff going on at that time. But eBay was always a part of my life. So I bought a lot of stuff off of eBay. I would go there before I looked anywhere else. And this is before Amazon, guys. So eBay was the thing, right? So you could find great deals on eBay. If you searched hard enough, you knew what you were looking for, you would find great stuff on eBay. And that was also back in the day when they would charge you 99 cents for something and $15 shipping. So I'm just saying, it was a different time on eBay. But also eBay was my kind of go-to when I wanted to sell things, right? So my wife and I, we would have a lot of garage sales all the time, every year, because we had two girls that were growing all the time. And every year we would purge all of their stuff and have a big garage sale. And every year we make a little bit of money and go on to the next. Well, there were some times where I wish I'd had some of that stuff back because I would have sold it on eBay. But there were some things that I said, wow, we won't make any money on this in a garage sale. Let's sell it on eBay. And I did it on eBay. That's the gosh honest truth. So I would sell a bunch of those things on eBay if they were easy to ship and I didn't have to worry about them. I didn't have, I had to find a box. I got to do all the stuff. That was just back then. eBay was kind of like a ATM for us. So that's kind of where our eBay started. And now that would go on and on. Like I would sell stuff all the time. Like I picked up they were changing out phones in one of the offices in our complex. And I asked the tech, I go, what are you doing with all the phones? We're just going to toss them. I'm like, can I have them? He's like, sure. So I took them. I think I had, I don't remember now, maybe 20 to 40 of them. It was a lot. But I was getting $70, $80 a piece selling them on eBay. So I made a bunch of money off of that. It was a great deal. I was like, man, find me any more phones that you're doing. Like they're PBX phones or something like that. So again, it was just like eBay was like my little ATM. Like when I needed money, I just sell something and we would make a little bit of money. Never got serious about it. So it was about 19, let's see, well, I guess 20, well, probably somewhere around 2019 or 2020 that we were like going, man, we need to find a business again. So just a kind of a little bit of background. My wife and I did own a couple of different businesses, but the one main one that we owned was a basket boutique. We actually did gift baskets. She worked that business 3-4 years full time. And it was good. It was a good business for her. It was a good opportunity for her to be at home more with the kids that were growing up at that time. So I think that was we had that business from 2007 till 2012. And it was good. And we enjoyed having the business. We were chamber members. We actually were business of the month, business of the year. I was on the Chamber Board of Commerce, the Board of Directors. And, I actually won an award for upcoming, I don't know, something or another. It's around here somewhere. But anyway, we were really a big part of the community. And that made us a real big part of the community having that business. But like, all things, 2012, kind of 2011, we went through the economic issues of 2008, 2010, we had the oil spill here in the Gulf, which kind of just hurt our business because she worked off of mainly corporate sales and she sold a lot to big businesses that bought a lot of baskets that did them out for gifts for holidays and different times and different situations and events. So it was hard, so we took a couple hard hits and then it was around 2012 that she's like, it's time to go back to the workforce and get a steady paycheck. And we're like, yeah, that makes sense. But, that bug hits you, that entrepreneurial bug. And I always said, I've been a serial entrepreneur. I've tried every kind of business there is. And we've talked about that. I'm not going to get into it again. But, I've tried everything. So we just kind of went on and kind of in a lull for a while, right? Working just, day to day, doing the stuff that we do, raising our kids, doing the things we had to do. I traveled a lot for my job. So, having a business wasn't going to be a great thing. And it was somewhere around 2000, I would say 19 or 20. It was probably 19 when we said, you know what, we need to do something. I got to do something because my background is marketing and I'm not working in marketing right now. So I have an MBA in marketing. I have my BBAs in marketing. And, I love that. I love that part of small business. And that was one of the things I did for a long time too. While I was in the chamber, I did a lot of consulting for small business. I did a lot of that stuff. And that was kind of in my blood. However, I'm actually a developer for Salesforce. So that's what I do. So nothing to do with marketing, unfortunately, but I love that too. So trust me, I love my certifications and things I do for Salesforce. However, that wasn't really, it's not maybe it's a passion and something I like to do, but I needed something else. I needed an outlet. And so I told my wife, I said, let's look into some things. She's like, you do whatever you want to do. She goes, I'll support you however you want to do it. So good supportive wife, guys. That's what you want. A good supportive spouse, even if they don't want to do the business. And trust me, she did not want to do it in the beginning, but she was supportive. And so I said, you know what? I said, I've been reading a lot and learning a lot about this Amazon. So Amazon's growing like crazy, and you can sell on Amazon as a third-party seller. And I said, well, I'm going to learn how to do this. Bought the courses, did all this stuff. I mean, I did everything, guys, everything you could see. And then boom, okay, the pandemic hits. So I didn't even get my first thing sent into Amazon. And I was like, oh man. And I was starting to realize after all the research, all the stuff I did, well, Amazon at that time was probably a pretty good model. It was not going to do what I needed to do. And it was going to take a lot more money than what I was willing to put in. Now, I had set aside $1,000. That's what I had, guys. $1,000. I said, this is what I'm going to put in my business. I put it aside. I set up my LLC. I did all the stuff that you're supposed to do to be an Amazon seller. I bought a label printer. I did all this stuff in the very beginning, guys. I didn't even think about eBay at that time. And meanwhile, my daughter at that time was still finishing up either her undergrad or her grad, I can't remember, but she was killing it on Etsy and Depop, I think. So she was killing it. I mean, like doing really good. And I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, because she never had to have a part-time job. Her job was always selling stuff. And so anyway, I thought that was kind of crazy. And I was like, well, so I said, maybe I should start selling stuff on Etsy, get a walk away from this Amazon thing, because it's going to take too much money and effort and energy to put in to do all this than it was to be just, hey, throw something up, sell it, make some money, move on. So I thought, well, you know what? I have this eBay account. So I told my wife, I said, okay, I bought some inventory for Amazon that I never sent off. So basic stuff, tools, different things, some stuff that I knew had some sale value on Amazon. So, but on Amazon, the profit was 10%, maybe if you're lucky. So, but I looked on eBay and I'm like, holy crap, this stuff I could sell and double my money. I'm like, you know what? I said, let's do this. Here's my thinking. Let's sell all this stuff on eBay and kind of fire up an eBay a little bit and get that moving, and then make enough money that I can put it back into the Amazon business. So that's where it started. And I wanted to say that was right at the end or right after the pandemic kind of started to calm down. So was that 21, late 21, maybe somewhere around there. I think I have to go back. It was middle of summer in 21 is what I believe. Anyway, so long story short, we started selling stuff on eBay. And within, I don't know, 90 days, maybe a little over 90 days, I think it was 4 months, we hit top seller. And we started just realizing, wow, we had stuff. Now, we didn't just sell the stuff that we bought that was selling on Amazon. We started going, well, you know what? I got all this stuff over here. We've had all this collectible stuff. She used to work for Disney. We had so much stuff. She used to work for Victoria's Secret. We had all this Coach stuff. We had all kinds of stuff. I said, you know what? Let's just sell that stuff. I mean, why not sell it on eBay? So we started selling. We grabbed everything. I mean, we went under beds, we went in the closets, we went in the garage, we went in the attic. We started just gathering up stuff. And at that time, I got some bins. I figured out I got to do a numbering system because I had no way of knowing where everything was. So I was numbering bins, and then I realized I got to number items because sometimes things were alike. So we started doing that, and sales just started kind of taking off, right? It started really going. So I was like, I told my wife, I said, you know what? Screw Amazon. I'm not going to do Amazon. I go, I'm going to do eBay. This is great. But I felt like I needed to learn something, right? So this is where I started going, okay, I've got to go in and just start looking who sells on eBay that I can watch and learn something. Because YouTube, great place to learn. So who did I find first? Well, it was Commonwealth Picker, Kevin, Commonwealth Picker. He was the first person that I saw. Also found Harry Tornado. I found a couple other ones I want to say. ADH Dave and Carrie, American Arbitrage, didn't come along until later, until I discovered Trash to Cash. And I will talk about those in a minute too. But Kevin was the one I watched, and Kevin was a teacher. I felt like I was learning stuff from Kevin. I liked his flipper videos. Now, I had not even started watching picking videos yet, but then I hit onto some picking videos. I was like, wow, there was my first mistake. All right. So I think that what I started believing was that every pick was profit, because I told my wife, I said, okay, we have pretty much exhausted everything in the house that we want to sell. That's not nailed down, and that she would let me sell because trust me, I was going through, can I sell this? No. Can I sell this? No. Can I sell this? No. I'm like, okay. So once I got to that point, I was like, you know what? We're going to have to start learning to go picking. Now, in the very beginning, it wasn't too hard to convince my wife to go shopping. Now, it was hard to get her up at 5:30 on a Saturday to go picking. So we didn't start early. We usually started, we hit out, 8 o'clock in the morning, and we started going hitting sales. Well, I started watching all these picking videos from different people, and there's so many of them, it's hard to tell, because I would just watch them, and sometimes I wouldn't subscribe, but I would just watch them and keep watching them. But I started thinking, wow, man, they're picking up all these great things. I should be looking for these things. So I think that was my first mistake, believing every pick is profit. That's not the way it works, guys. You watch these videos, and a lot of times they're highlight videos, because I can tell you right now, I have hundreds of hours of picking video, and none of it's good. It's just me going into a sale going, nope, 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 and then walking out. Nobody wants to watch that. Do you want to watch that? Honestly, leave me a comment and tell me, is that stuff that you want to see? Because you're wanting to see the hits, man. You want to go in and say, boom, look at that. He just bought all of those for the whole table for 50 bucks. He's going to make $500 off of it. And that's how it always works, right? Because that's what people want to see. So I think that was the biggest thing that first off I had to learn right away was, hey, not everything that they're selling is going to be profit. Not everything that I pick is going to be profit. I think mistake number 2 was not researching enough. So in the very beginning, I had no idea what a sell-through rate was. So I had no idea what to look up and say, okay, well, I need to figure out how fast will this sell, because what I would do is I'd look in there and I'd say, wow, this sold for $100. I'm going to get it because I'm only paying like $5, right? And then realize that I still have it in my inventory. So that was the biggest thing that kind of took a while to figure out. It's like, so, there's some things you list and it it just never sells for what you expect it to. So I had to learn to comp stuff out, right? I had to really learn to say, okay, there's 50 of them available and 10 of them is sold. It's a pretty slow, it's not terrible, but that's a fairly slow sell-through rate, right? But if I found that 50 had sold and there's only 3 available, boom, that you grab that. So I had to kind of start learning that very, very early on. So I think that was mistake number 2, was just not doing enough research. Now, mistake 3, listing it and forgetting it. In the very beginning, that's what we did. We listed it and we didn't do anything else with it, right? So I think what happens is we kind of fall into that lull. And this one really did hit me about 1.5 years into the business. And I started realizing, man, there's got to be a way to get this stuff to move, because I was listing it and then nothing would happen with it. And I'd had stuff that would be sitting in there that would never go anywhere. And I thought, what are we going to do? How are we going to fix this? So, we had to learn again. We had to learn about, taking stuff down and sell similar. We had to learn about, recomping things, because sometimes prices change on stuff. Sometimes they change for the better. Sometimes they change for a lot worse. So, and sometimes you have to just take that reality and say, I can't list and forget. I've got to keep active all the time. And that's one of the things that it took me a while to learn, is that eBay wants you to stay active. It doesn't care. It does care if you're putting up new items and putting up new stuff, but it wants you to stay active in your store. If you're changing things in your store and you're doing stuff in your store and you're doing all this different things, then yeah, or your listings. If you don't have a store, they're talking about your listings. But if you're being active in there as a user, because it knows when you're signed in, it knows when you're changing things, I think that's going to help kind of keep your stuff up there and people get noticed. Now, obviously there's a lot to the algorithm that we still had to learn. And so, putting up new items, that did help. Also, relisting things, taking them down, doing them similar if they've been sitting there for 3-4 months and they're stale. So we had to learn a lot of different stuff. But that was hard to do. But I mean, after a while, even retaking pictures, like, you look at the pictures and go, those are horrible, let's redo them. So I had to learn that and go over and over and do that again. So, and that started helping sales again too. So like I said, that was number 3, kind of, you can't list and forget. And part of that too was during that time, that's also when I started promoting. So I didn't start promoting anything. I said I would never promote anything. After 1 year in the business, I started promoting, not at a huge percent, around 4 to 5%. But my sales doubled. So you can say promotion doesn't work. I will say that it probably did for us, because my sales doubled when I did it. And I noticed that when I about a year and a half ago or a year ago, when I stopped doing it again, because I said, oh, I surely now have enough momentum, I don't need it, the sales dropped. So anyway, lesson learned. I promote between 2 and 4% on everything that I put out, just because I buy low and that's where I'm at. So that was my third thing, but part of the third thing, listening and forgetting, but you also got to take some action on your items to make sure they're going to sell. What's my fourth mistake? My fourth mistake was trying to be like someone else, right? So that was the one thing. Now, I didn't start a YouTube channel when I first did this. I had no inclination at all starting a YouTube channel. I was fine watching everybody else's. But for some reason or other, at some point a year ago, I really got it in my head that I just wanted to start talking on YouTube. That's because I feel like this business is kind of lonely. Even though I have my wife, and like I said, she's fully supportive and she does help, it's still a lonely business most of the time. You know, you're looking for comments, for anything that you can kind of talk to people and learn from them as well, right? And I love the interaction. So that was the reason I started the YouTube channel. But, you know, when I first started, I was trying to be too much like other people. I was trying to I can go buy the same things they can. I can do all this. That's not going to work, right? Because every place is different. They may be picking up north, they may be picking over west, they may be picking out east. It's different wherever you're at, right? And you're not going to find the same things, and you're not going to be able to sell the same things. So you can't be like everybody else. So that's the one thing. You just can't be like anybody else. The other thing I probably learned very quickly was underestimating the workload. All right. So reselling is not a passive income. It's not a fire and forget, throw it up, let it go. It is, well, especially not at first. It takes a lot of work to do it first. But I didn't realize how much time it took to do photos, the listings, the sourcing, the shipping, taking care of customers. I've learned over time to batch these though and streamline them, but it took a lot in the very beginning. It was taking up an enormous amount of time. And that's never easy, guys. And if you're working full-time, 40 to 50 hours a week, this can be a daunting task. So, I mean, I learned to deal with it, but I mean, in reality, I'm putting in 20, sometimes 30 hours above my normal work week. So it takes a lot, guys. And, but the results are great. I mean, our extra income this year is going to be tremendous. It's great. And it's actually going to probably be what I'm going to do when I retire in a few years. So I'm just setting myself up for that. So I think that, you know, it's great. One of the things I will say as far as watching people on YouTube, it's great to learn from them. It's great to maybe emulate them, but not copy them. You know, learn from what they do, learn from their mistakes as well. And, you know, and try not to make these same mistakes that I've made. So just to kind of tie up the whole YouTube reseller illusion thing. So I'm not saying anything about all the people that do stuff online. I'm one of them, right? So, and I'm starting to learn to do picking videos. I'm going to start putting more of those out. And only because I want to help. I want other people to see what I pick. And maybe I'll put out the real ones and show you all the times that I go and go, nothing, nothing, nothing. So, or the countless miles that I drive on a weekend and come up with 3 things when I come home. That happens, guys. That's part of it. And let's be honest with you. Some of these YouTube resellers, and like I said, I love them all. They make as much money sometimes on YouTube or for a short or for something as they might make selling something. So for them, it's a business, and I get it. I mean, I'm not monetized, so I don't know what that experience is like. And when I do monetize, it's not going to be much, right? So, but these guys have been doing this for a long time. They have, 100,000 followers and stuff like that. There's some money in there for them. And so I can totally understand it. But, I think you have to just understand that just because it sells fast for them, it doesn't mean it's going to sell fast for you. And just look at that with the reality that that, hey, part of what they're doing is this is their business, and that's why they're doing it. Like I said, there's a lot of them I really like, and I even talked about the Trash to Cash guys. Well, that's how I learned ADH Dave and Carrie. I watched Kevin and then found out about his channel, and I started watching that. Now, I truly watch Trash to Cash for nothing more than the entertainment value. There's pretty much all you're going to get out of it. So every once in a while you get a glimpse of some ideas or something. Yeah, someone will say something, you'll go, wow, okay, that makes a lot of sense. But for the most part, it's entertainment value, and there's a bunch of those. So, and I've met some of these guys now, and I actually enjoy talking to them. And I actually got a chance to pick with Kevin. great guy and super guy, very real. Everything you see about him on the YouTube channel, to me in person, is just as real. So now let's get to the final part of this. What do I love about reselling? Well, despite all the stuff that I've talked about, the mistakes and everything else, there's still one side out there. It's still, to me, one of the best side hustles there are. So it's low cost to start. You don't need any money to start. Sell the stuff around your house. You can start there. You can set your own hours. You don't have to put in 20 to 30 hours like I do or have done. You can learn as you go. And there's a lot of people to learn from, a lot out there. You can watch them all and just kind of learn. But just remember, be you. Pick up what they're learning. You can pick up things that they're learning, but don't pick it up exactly. Okay, that was the lesson that I had to learn. And you don't have a boss. You don't have gatekeepers. You can make real money at this, guys. Like I said, last year we didn't hit the 30,000 mark, but with the tax advantages and the different things that we had, because we claim everything, we do all that, we pay our fair share of taxes. Trust me, I pay more than my fair share sometimes, but it did help with some stuff. It helped alleviate some of those things, and we were able to show for the past 5 years, we've been able to show that we've been slowly improving and getting to this business. So every year we've made more. Every year, it's improving. So I think you can make some real good money in it. And it's, like I said, easy to start. So why not? Why not try something different? So anyway, that's it. Reselling isn't easy, but it is fun. It's worth it, guys. It really is. So I'd love to hear some of your guys' comments. Leave me some comments, maybe some things that you guys, tidbits of information or something that might help somebody new, and we can kind of go through that. Now, I promised we would get to this, and I'm going to real quick because I've rambled on long enough, but we're going to talk about real quick what sold. I got a couple things that went out prior to today. I'll throw those up on the screen and you guys can see those. First thing, we did sell a DVD. Yes, DVDs still sell, guys, especially ones like this. We Are the Night DVD 2010 Carolyn Herforth vampire horror movie. I saw this at a sale, scanned it, and I was like, what? This sells? It's not sell for a lot of money, guys. I'm not rich, okay? But apparently it does sell. So I still made $10 off of it and $5.99 shipping. So that did go out. Picked this up at the next thing I picked up at a garage sale out in the boonies. And they didn't have anything. I went to 4 sales out there, and this is the only thing, 2 things that I picked up. They had 2 cookbooks, and they said they wanted, I was like, well, what do you want for the cookbooks? And they're like, oh, well, it's 50 cents a piece. You can do both for $1. I was like, okay. Well, one is the Semper Delicious Recipes Marine Corps League Cookbook, Detachment 1378. So this is a Marine Corps detachment that created their own cookbook. I thought, this is so cool. I figured, God, this has got to sell. Well, it sat for a while. And I picked this up in March of this year, and it sat there for a while. But it did sell for $14.39. It went out with free shipping, but it's media mail, so it didn't cost a whole lot. But I paid 50 cents for it. I also picked up another book that day. It was another cookbook, and it was the Floribama something other cookbook. I can't remember what it is, but anyway, it was big time. All these different recipes from the Floribama restaurant down there. So anyway, that was kind of cool. But yeah, so that went out, and then yesterday I sold Monopoly 2000 Millennium Collector's Edition board game. This was new, factory sealed in the tin, so it's a square tin, and it ended up selling for $41.79. I sent it out with free shipping. It did cost about $7 to ship, so it was fairly good sized box. I mean, it was a 12 by 12 by. I ended up making it 12 by 12 by 6 is the box. So. But the box itself, the game is 11 by 11, so it was fitting in there pretty nicely. So anyway, so that did go out, and again, this was one I paid very little for. I think less than $4 for. All right, so what about today? Video game, of course. Got to sell a video game at least a couple a week. I keep putting them up, so I keep hoping to sell. Now, it's kind of hard to see this one, but I'll hold it up. All right, this one's Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition Remix. It's the greatest hits PlayStation 2. This one's complete in the box. I had no idea when I searched this, when I looked it up when I bought it, and I can't remember where I bought it. Oh, yeah, I know where I bought it. This was recently from the Flee Across Florida buy. It picked it up with a bunch of other games, so I'm into this for less than $2. But this one actually sold for $51.29. It'll get $5.99 shipping. So anyway, this might be a bolo, guys. It's a Midnight Club 3, and that is the It said 3 dub edition, I guess. Anyway, it's the dub edition, whatever that is, remix. Anyway, cool game. So it's a $51 game, so can't go wrong. And then I sold another one of the little Pokemon plush. So this one's cute. This one is the Pokemon Center Blossom plush, 5-inch stuffed toy doll from Japan. It's 2019. So these are apparently fairly rare, I guess. They're kind of hard to find, but that one sold for $24.29, and they do go out. Some of these go out with free shipping. Not all of them, but some of them do. All right, last but not least, this one caused me a little bit of gray hair this morning. I will tell you that, and here's why. So look, here's one. This is a calculator, and this is the same exact calculator. Now, this one has been sitting on my desk inside this case with this for a while. I totally forgot that I had that one in my inventory. This one doesn't work. I had tried everything to make it work and tried it. And finally, because it had the case and everything, I was like, you know what, heck with it. I was gonna toss it away. So I threw it over there to throw it in the trash. Well, lo and behold, this one sold today. I went and looked at it. This is an HP, this is a HP 12C. It's a vintage financial calculator, but mine says with case. And I realized this one doesn't have a case. So I was like, thank you that I actually had a case. And I still have the instruction booklet. So he's actually getting a bonus. And this one does work. That one doesn't. So I looked everywhere this morning to try and find this because it wasn't where it was supposed to be. And I thought, oh my heavens, this cannot be the calculator that doesn't work. I was going to have to tell him I'm sorry. But then I started looking at the pictures and realized this one's got a clean back. The one that I sold has a little scratch on it. So it wasn't the same one. So anyway, it didn't get much, guys. It's $12.79, and honestly, I think I charged a ridiculous amount for shipping. No, $5.99. So I try not to be ridiculous, but sometimes I don't know where my head is. Like I'll do something and it'll be $8.99 shipping on it. So I don't really mean to that, but it's $12.79. It's not a lot, but it is a financial calculator, and it's nice. So HP is a good quality. This one going in the garbage, so I don't ever do that mistake again. So all told, we're just under $200 for the week so far. Again, it's the start of the week. It usually picks up on the weekend. The bad thing is my store's going on vacation on Thursday. So that being said, probably not going to get another video done. Maybe I will this weekend. We'll see. Maybe I'll do some shorts. So we are going to be doing some sourcing in a different area. So I gotta get our dog sitter moved in and everything all done and everything this week, so that she can handle stuff. But store is gonna go on vacation because I really don't trust anybody at this point to run the store for me. So we'll see how that helps us or hurts us. But you know, we'll pick it back up and things will start moving again. We've got a good sale running right now and everything's going. So, but anyway, that's kind of what's going on this week. What's sold. So I just kind of a recap, guys. Be you. Learn from who you want to learn from. There's a lot of great resellers out there. There's a lot of good podcasts too. I listen to Pure Hustle. I could say a lot of different things about Pure Hustle. I like them, but sometimes the stuff they say just makes me go, oh my God. Anyway, but for the most part, I mean, they have put out so many episodes and they've done so many things, and they have put out some good information, but sometimes I just want to comment on everything that they say. So, and that's not saying that I'm perfect or anybody's perfect. It's just, you know, you got to be careful of the information you listen to. You got to listen to what's in your heart and listen to the people that you feel that you connect with. So anyway, like I say, most of all, just keep learning, keep testing, keep trying things out. And listen, drop a comment, guys. What's the biggest mistake that you've ever made as a reseller? Or maybe who's your favorite reseller to learn from? And it doesn't have to be me. So it can't be me. So there's no way you're learning anything from me, right? But you know, who is it? Who do you guys listen to? I know I have a list, and one of these days I'm going to rank them. But I don't know. I probably won't ever do that. I don't want to make anybody mad because there's some of them are really good friends now. So and I trust them very much. So, and I don't think anybody ever wants to lead you astray. But you got to take everything with a grain of salt and learn your way. So I hope this has helped you. If so, you know, shoot me a thumbs up and a subscribe, or otherwise just a comment would be great for me too. I appreciate you all watching. I hope you have a great week. I promise to get a video out sometime in the first of the week. It's probably not going to have a whole lot in it, but I do want to kind of share a little bit about what's going on. So I'm David Breeze Flippers. We'll see ya.
Find it, flip it, ship it. Wear Breeze flippers. Keep it moving. Find it, flip it, ship it, repeat.